All right. I thank you for everyone for tuning in. It's our lunchtime special on Tuesday. I'm joined by Jaret Grossman, who's the founder of Jarbly. Jaret, thank you for joining me. We always start with, where in the world are you?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it, Warren. Yeah. You asked where I am. I'm down in South Florida, in Boca Raton, sunny Florida. So it's a little different from where you are in terms of the lockdown and coronavirus. Things are open here. Restaurants are coming back to life. Just went out to one the other day, and it was weird. The wait staff wasn't wearing face masks or anything, so it was interesting to see. Some people are hesitant about that, and some have right to, but we'll see what happens over the next coming months.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I saw Florida. I have some friends, and we interviewed people. Bob Seidel, the CEO of Illyrian Aviation, and my friend, who's the CEO and founder of Followfreud, a Talkspace type situation. Who they're both in Florida, and we're saying that it's a little looser, and they're going out and doing things. Well, we're all hunkered down, and I'm afraid to go to Walmart.
Exactly. Well,
and definitely. Yeah. No, but so thank you again. Thanks for joining us. Why don't you, first of all, tell us a little bit about your career? Tell us about your awesome website and app creator, Jarbly.
Yeah, so started up this firm. It's been over a decade. I started out as a conglomerate, had some subsidiaries under it and so forth, but it really took shape over the last couple of years in terms of focusing heavily now on web development, app development, and so it's been going very well. And definitely, a lot of clients need that right now more than ever. So,
and I was exceptionally interested in talking to you, and thank you for joining us, because you did something different than I started two businesses, and I'm got them off the ground, and thank God we're reaching success, and the pandemic is definitely putting the brakes on everyone, but still continuing that. But you started a successful YouTube channel and then converted it into your business. So can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, sort of. So when I was in undergrad, started up like a blog based on the health and fitness niche called Muscle Prodigy with my childhood friend, Richie Allen. And we just started growing that presence and figuring out ways to just drive traffic. So was basically got one of the first people on YouTube to center content around this motivational space. So created a lot of riveting content with speeches and so forth that some of them caught fire and really, put us on the map kind of thing. And then it was just about, okay, how do we build this following, sustain it? And then obviously you want to monetize it as well. So we basically were able to create a workout program called MP45. Kind of like the P90X model, but we focused on the gym-based market instead of the home-based market. And so the YouTube channel was sort of a means to drive traffic there. I recently sold that business with my partner, and it was acquired by an individual and his wife, and they're doing a great job running the brand. They were in real estate for a while, and pivoted to this, and basically they've used some of the assets that I built up over the years, and really just taking on this digital space, kind of using all the expertise that I've built over the last decade or so, building that brand and other ventures that I've been on.
That's awesome, and awesome to have early success. Tell everyone a little bit more about Jarbly and all the stuff that you do. Or if I was starting a small business, I came to you at Jarbly, what are you going to do for us?
Yeah, so the first thing is, if you have a website, if you're online, or a mobile app is sort of the next step if you do have a website. So obviously you want to get the presence out there, and we really pay attention to design. You basically have a few seconds to capture somebody's attention. And so really what's above the fold, what they see when they first come to your website, is super, super important. They're going to make a decision based on your company sort of instantly. And obviously presence grows from there in terms of being known on whether it's social media, Google. You want to be on top of the search engines, and whether you like it or not, I don't particularly, that these companies are kind of monopolies, whether it's Google or Facebook. So you got to be known on them, and obviously when they come to your site, you have a very limited time span in terms of getting them to do what you want. So just building a site where you have 100 different products, so to speak. If you're not on Amazon, it's going to be very hard for you to compete that way. It's more about call to actions and leading them to a specific action that you want them to take, whether that's picking up the phone to call you, whether that's filling out a contact form, or buying a product. And it's going to be mainly a single product as opposed to a collective that you're showcasing. Like I said, it's to have like a full e-commerce store. It's just very difficult to compete with an Amazon type setting. I mean, they've got like 40% market share. It's climbing in terms of all online sales. So, you know, that's a monopoly if I've ever heard of one. So you gotta stand out and differentiate.
So you guys are a more hands-on Shopify is what you're saying?
Well, yeah. So Shopify is great for individuals who have a low budget, need something out of the box. But you know, if you basically have a website that you want to be created that's around your business, whether it's a business service, I mean, the financial industry, if you're a lawyer or a doctor, Shopify is not going to suit your needs. So you need to have a different website. Most of the websites we build are different platforms, for instance, like a WordPress. And it just has to center around whatever you want to be known for, and all the copy and all of the, whether it's projects, your portfolio, whether you're a development group or a real estate company, you know, you got to be able to showcase certain aspects about your business that are really separating you from the competition. And again, leading them to that call to action. So it might not, for a lot of businesses, it's not necessarily buying online. It's picking up the phone and calling you, and that's how they do business. So you don't want to try to reinvent the way that you do business. You want to just enhance the way that you're really good at doing business. And that's where a lot of, you know, other firms sort of try to take people out of their wheelhouse, and then they don't see the results that they want.
Absolutely. Have you guys seen, I know a lot of the people that I've been interviewing have been their businesses like taken a toll or been hurt due to the pandemic, but you know, you're taking businesses and putting them online, like retail storefronts are shuttered. Have you guys seen an increase or an uptick in requests of people saying, hey, I'm a small business, we used to do things this way, I need to, you know, we need to get online, and yesterday?
Yeah, so we have, you know, there are some hesitancies in terms of moving forward that probably weren't there before this whole pandemic in terms of finances. People have just been a little more hesitant. They've been more conservative with their funds, but there's definitely an uptick in terms of requests. And then obviously you want to do as good a job of working within their budget constraints right now, and getting them online, you know, and figuring out maybe there's other methods, you know, to limit some of the free features that they want to be able to fit within their budget, which we do. So,
yeah. Have you, I mean, do you find it harder, like when onboarding or working with, I always say, like, I like to sit around a conference table with my clients in my office in New Orleans or New York or wherever we are. You get to, you know, shake their hand, see them, read body language. We're doing everything and, you know, conducting business through Zoom and FaceTime, et cetera, et cetera. Do you find it harder, like, to really interpret and understand people's brands in order to then, you know, share that interpretation with the world, you know, with the new technology that we're faced with using, and not being in person?
We have clients all over the world. This is kind of nothing new to us in terms of just like the remote version of life that we're in right now, you know? So we're just rolling with it. And most of the people are very clear, you know, over the telephone or Zoom in terms of what they want. And, you know, we just try to deliver it as best as possible. And of course, you know, you tweak the process along the way to just make them really happy. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, like, as far as on the marketing end of things, you know, I've been saying a lot of people, because we also do digital marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
You know, when the pandemic was starting, I was telling our clients and I was telling my partner, I think that now is going to be a time when, you know, everyone's at home, they're on their devices more than ever. You know, do you think that there's a tremendous uptick in online sales for your customers right now?
So yes and no. It depends what kind of industry you're in, really. If you're in the Northeast and you got sort of a brick and mortar, it's going to be very, very difficult, you know, until the restrictions are lifted, whether, you know, dentists are kind of shut down and so forth. So it's really regional based and then industry based. Now, if you have the infrastructure built to take care of orders like an Amazon, I mean, you're going to crush it in today's time. But most businesses do not have that infrastructure in place, you know? So you got to think outside the box a little bit. And while people are at home, their buying decisions have changed. And if they don't have the money to be able to spend on, if you're in a luxury item space or whatnot, just consider yourself, you know, really having to reinvent yourself during this time. Essentials are obviously tremendously upticked, whether you're selling food or whether you're selling toilet paper, obviously, you know, masks. So if you could pivot to the medical supply industry right now, that's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, we get 2 cases of wine and diapers every week. That's our weekly order. I mean, So, I mean, have you changed your marketing techniques or your calls to action based on the pandemic?
A little bit. I mean, slightly. We don't take as much gamble in terms of advertising. Now it's more getting sure leads as opposed to trying to advertise. And even though you could acquire leads cheaper by doing that kind of method, if you hit it right, it's more of a gamble, you know. And if people aren't, you know, buying, but they're on their computer more, just because they're scrolling on Facebook more, it doesn't mean they're going to be buying more. So you got to just be a little smarter with the way that you're, because the cost per view is probably going down and click and so forth, but the quality of the person is actually, in certain industries, is actually going down.
I also like, you know, since we're on, you know, customers and you know, buying patterns, I always like to say, in talking, we've had you know, some private aviation clients, we've had, you know, like 5-star hotel clients, and you know, they've said, or even luxury real estate you know, brokerages, and they've said to us, oh, Facebook and Instagram is not going to work for us. But my argument is always that, you know, I'm a CEO of 2 companies. You know, you run a company. When I go to the bathroom or when I'm sitting on the couch, what am I doing? I'm looking at Facebook. I'm looking at Instagram. If you call my office, the main number, and you don't have my cell, you're getting my assistant who's my gatekeeper. If you're you know, sending me an email, maybe someone's reading that before I see it and they're erasing all the bullshit in the inbox. So, I mean, what's your thought on that? I mean, do you agree that like high net worth individuals can be targeted through Facebook and Instagram? And I also say, like, that's the cheapest way to reach them, because meeting them at an event, penetrating their network, are all, you know, high value ways to do it. But I feel like, again, at the end of the day, we eat, we brush our teeth, we go to the bathroom. So does every CEO and leader of a company and decision maker. So you can still target them that way. And what's your thoughts on that?
For sure. I mean, Facebook has so much data on individuals. There's a reason why guys like Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak come out and they say, delete your Facebook account or whatnot. There's so much data, even on high net worth individuals. So they've scraped all this, whether you like it or not. And as a business owner, you know, it's legal for you to take advantage of all of it, you know, so you can get in front of those people. Like you said, it's a lot cheaper than running a TV commercial. It's a lot cheaper than even Google ads. I mean, that they were able to undercut that market, you know, in a huge way. So, you know, in your industry, Warren, it's obviously very beneficial to get on these social media platforms and target, you know, individuals. So it really just depends what kind of, you know, sector you're in. For instance, I mean, you could burn, if you own a private jet, you know, business right now, whatnot, and you want to get in front of high net worth individuals, you got to think outside the box than just paying a lot of money to Google ads to get in front of people. I mean, whether you're in a specific industry, you're a surgeon or something, I mean, they charge a lot of money per click for those. Yep. For those professions. So figure out a way to undercut it, and social media is definitely a way to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of clients who've said that they've only done Google ads. Yeah, but you're right. The cost per click is, you know, especially in a competitive industry, is super high. And then you're not even necessarily getting onto the first page. So yeah, that's why I always think that you can penetrate by, you know, hitting Facebook and Instagram with the correct targeting. Yeah. So what industries, like, for, you know, that you work with, do you think are be the ones to bounce back first? You know, once the country, or, you know, I know Florida, but since you have clients all over, once everything starts to open back up, who are the winners?
So I think just like the essential businesses obviously are going to continue to thrive. The people are going to live like in this scarce mode in terms of like grocery stores, supermarkets, just those essentials. But then things of neglect are you can't evade them forever. The dentistry, for instance, you put off your cleanings, you put off certain medical procedures that you needed to do. I think those are going to, the elective surgery type things are going to come back. But then, restaurants, big venues, large venues, entertainment, that's going to struggle for probably the next couple of years, I think. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I have a guest coming on in a couple of weeks who's in the experiential marketing and event space, and we're going to be talking about how that's definitely taking a hit, and even with recommended changes and safety precautions, it's still going to be tough. And will the public be ready to go back to an event? I know that I think 12 to 16% of Americans feel comfortable with flying again. So there are definitely industries, travel is going to take a hit, and there's industries that are going to be taking a hit for a long time. So tell us about some of Jarbly's successes. We don't at Emerald, our digital agency, we don't build apps, but I know you guys do. So I'd love to hear about some of your successes and how that process works. Because I know people come to us and say, "Oh, just build me an app. It's so simple. Look, it's on my phone." But it's not that simple. So take us through that. And I also want to hear, we want to hear about some of your successful app launches.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, a lot of the businesses just don't have any web presence at all. They don't even have a website. They're trying to operate off of like Facebook Marketplace or whatnot. And obviously, a website is just usually important. And then the next step is basically a mobile app, because people, like you said, are constantly on their phones. So whether that's iPhone, Android. So, we built e-commerce stores. There's a woman who wanted to get online. She has a wine shop, and that's taking a huge hit right now. People are just afraid to go out, right? So just getting her an e-commerce app. And then I have other clients who are really innovating during this time. An individual who just is basically trying to change the game in terms of the financial sector. There's other businesses, for instance, like a therapist that basically wants to take advantage of the telemedicine space, right? So we've been able to build out all these things for our clients, and we're really looking forward to just helping people in their specific use cases.
So you build an amazing app, and you build it for a small business. That small business, let's say it's a barbershop or a salon, and my mother-in-law is very fond of her salon and wants to go to them. They create an app, she'll download it. A few other people will download it. But what do you say to someone like me? I'm very oddly sensitive about which apps I download on my phone, and if I download it and it provides little to no utility, it doesn't get to put in one of my folders that I safeguard and keep. So how do you get people to download and then and put create tools within the app to make sure that people use the app and keep it?
For sure. So basically, the apps that are hugely successful, if you want it to be downloaded by a large, it's got to be an idea that's super innovative, that's completely ubiquitous. It solves a pain point for practically everyone. So think on the scale of an Uber type situation, a Yelp. Right? These apps get downloaded in droves. Now, if you're a small business and you want to get an app, like you said, that market is going to obviously diminish. You're not solving as big of a pain point, especially if you're regional or local or whatnot. But if you have the infrastructure in place, then you obviously are going to benefit tremendously by an enhancement. People are going to just want an app as opposed to a website that they have to type in, for instance. So if you have the customer base already, an app is really important for a lot of our clients, for instance, right? So if you're just trying to acquire new customers, put an app out, it depends. What is your marketing strategy to do that? Is it really a unique need? If you're just selling, products that you have and you can only do delivery within a 25-mile radius, then it's probably not as essential as some other things that you got to get to.
So have you turned down customers who wanted an app just to have an app because it was the new thing to have, and said?
Oh yeah, sure, of course, man. First we got to understand, the budget that they're kind of working with, the company or individual, and then I just tell them straight, even if they have the budget, if it's not really in their best interest. Now, obviously, I'm going to try to get them to do something that I think is is the best happy medium or whatever it is, or the best thing for them, which is probably limiting some of those excess features that it's the 80-20 rule in life, where the bulk of everything that you do is in these certain 3 features or whatnot, and you're trying to do, 12 or 14, that's driving the cost way up. So maybe we eliminate those 11 features and we bring it down to the 3 core ones. And this is how we can, stick to this kind of price, and then use that other money for, some other, invention that you have, or some other marketing aspect that you want to be able to drive the user base, So we definitely just look out for, their real interest.
Absolutely. That's interesting. I want to jump into, because we were introduced by, I had, checked you out and saw the YouTube channel, and we were introduced by a mutual friend who's, you go way back with, Jason Dodier. So, so we were talking right before this about how, Emerald Digital, my digital marketing agency, is my partner and president of it is Matt Berman, who was my college roommate and friend, and we've always been on parallel tracks doing work together, and then joined forces a couple of years ago. Can you talk about what it's like to have, someone who's kicking ass alongside you as a motivational factor, and to be able to do great stuff with friends?
Oh yeah, so Jason and I, we started a podcast up. It's called Made for the Moment. We just had Judah Engelmeyer on, who is your colleague, and just a wildly entertaining guy, and his track record sort of speaks for himself. And you guys, what you're doing at Herald in terms of representation. So
thank you.
It's been a blast. We've had some really riveting guests on. Jason is a guy that he was the first guy I met at undergrad at Bryan University, and we always knew we were going to do something in a business capacity together. And this was a huge opening, with what's going on with coronavirus. And Jason's got a dynamic personality, so putting him, in front of a mic is always the way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Matt and I originally thought, because he's an awesome guitar player, he originally thought that he was going to be John Mayer and I was going to be his manager, but we decided to go into digital marketing and PR instead. But but I definitely attended a bunch of open mic nights with him, trying to pitch his wares, and a stroke of the keys. What's the future for web dev, for apps? Like what are the new innovative technologies that we've talked about? Like, I know clients who use Squarespace. I know people use Shopify, custom builds. Like what's the next wave?
So I mean, like you mentioned, if you have kind of a low budget, stick to Squarespace, Wix, Shopify kind of stuff. If you want something a little bit more custom, a little bit more of a wow effect, so you're trying to impress clients or whatnot, higher ticket items, stuff like that, then a custom site is going to really do the trick. But what the next wave is obviously AR, VR. So apps like Pokemon Go, for instance, where you're looking at the street view and there's characters that appear directly on your phone as if they were appearing in the street, kind of concept, right? So more stuff like that we're going to see. And then everything is just moving closer to the body, computer, laptop, phone. It's going to be one with the body. So we're going to see where that next phase kind of goes. But heads-up display is going to be the next, big shift. And we're trying to get on the forefront with a couple of things.
Yeah, I mean, one of my AR VR clients, the Glimpse Group CEO Liron Ben-Tovim, always says that the next wave is going to be glasses or contact lenses, so that you can see AR and engage with the outside world using augmented reality. With that, so I hope it's that direction and not chip implantation direction, because that'll get a little bit creepy, especially with
very creepy. Yes, exactly. So Google Glass, didn't take off. I think people don't want, it's expensive, but people don't want to look like a cyborg, walking down the street. The software also isn't there in terms of just basically simplifying every aspect of your life kind of stuff, where it's going to replace the current software that you use on your desktop. So there's got to be some innovation there. And then in terms of the hardware, whether a contact lens will certainly be, a lot better than a cyborg looking glass, but we'll see where that goes, how easy it is to basically do. But I'm with you. No chips, No,
I mean, it's amazing. Like the fact that we're moving in that direction, and in many ways it's scary, but in many ways it also helps us interact with with technology better, and with the world better. To have an Apple Watch that tells you your beats per minute and some of your health factors, I think is helpful. And then I think that some of the Big Brother technologies are scary. I know that some have been implemented now, and they're apps that are that are used for with spy agencies that are now transitioned over to do contact tracing for Corona. Do you have any comment on that?
It's scary with these big companies, what's going on in terms of Google, Facebook, just the amount of power that they have. Fortunately, I think this bar is going to take action there. We'll see. There's just been some antitrust rumblings in terms of Google. Facebook just put up this Supreme Court board that they're going to censor content, stuff like that. I think that this is just a little bit too much power for certain companies that it's not so simple and black and white that it's a private company that you agree to their terms and do business. I mean, they control huge stakes of the amount of information that's on the internet. And that's a free speech element that we gotta assess. But I think we gotta definitely break them up through using these antitrust laws and any kind of tracking that these companies have information. And our trust has already been breached with Cambridge Analytica and so forth, all this kind of stuff. So do we want to go through that again? I know we brought them on Congress. I mean, there's probably elements, of things that Zuckerberg said that they weren't doing that you could look, and they are doing, in terms of just if you go into your settings and you check out off Facebook activity, you could either toggle that on or off. So what exactly are they tracking when you close down Facebook? They're still tracking you. So that stuff is real. And then in terms of the actual, of course they're going to try. There's money to be made there. Of course they're going to try to push the boundaries of being able to track and trace for coronavirus and so forth, because now the medical industry, you have them in your pocket, the pharmaceutical industry and so forth. So I think it starts with the antitrust laws.
And do you agree that it should be used and that they should get a pass right now to aid in the controlling of the virus, or do you think that the government should still be keeping a watchful eye on them right now?
I mean, I think that testing is probably more important than tracking individuals and then that information getting into the wrong hands where people can use it against you. There's good and bad in all things. And if you don't have safeguards in place where you can prevent that from getting in the wrong hands, or what are your factors that are going to be to remedy that type of situation or prevent it altogether, then you shouldn't implement the technology in the first place. So if they can't roll out real safeguard procedures, these companies, to be able to do that and mitigate that kind of damage, then of course they should not be able to track you and have info. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a fascinating debate, and it's interesting to be part of history where it's unfolding before our eyes, and a lot of things are getting passes, like FaceTiming your physician.
Yeah.
HIPAA laws are not out the window, but they're being a little bit more flexible because of the need. So I think it's definitely unfolding before our eyes, and will continue to evolve. And I'm curious to see what technologies and things do we allow and are the in bucket, and then what gets thrown out in the out bucket after the pandemic is over.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a lot more about trying to protect the people who are most vulnerable, rather than trying to, protect the whole world and taking away their freedoms, and their rights to do it. So, that's sort of, my philosophy, and, it would be nice to see stuff like that. Some states are implementing stuff like that, but it's up to the federal government too as well.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, I just want to, where can everyone find you if they want to have an app built, website built, and your design on your website is absolutely beautiful. And amazing what you do. So where can everyone find you?
Yeah. Hop on to Jarbly.com. That's JARB as in boy, LY.com. It's a name I kind of made up, similar to like, these Googles or Uber names where it's just kind of random. I used initials from my family's name and was able to put it together. So that's the story. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and where are you on social?
I'm on YouTube. Basically, check out our channel. Made for the Moment is the podcast that we're currently rolling out, Jason and I. And like we said, we have an awesome episode with Judah that we're going to be releasing, there where a lot of golden nuggets are. So
I'm happy that you did judo, because I like to ask the question. So how could I come on? No, I'm kidding now. But I appreciate you having me on, and I sincerely appreciate you taking time in the middle of your day.
Yeah, thanks so much. And we got to have you on there too. Maybe we'll do, you and judo, and we'll do a follow-up.
We would love that, and
Yeah.
I look forward to keep talking. But thank you for sharing what you do, and some awesome information. I'm excited that we're able to get into the some of that privacy and the gray areas towards the end.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Likewise. Thanks so much. All right. Stay safe.
All right, thanks.